lots of news coming out of Florida, but we first want to just get your reaction on the impeachment trial.
Well, they spent a lot of time yesterday convincing us of what I already knew and believed, and that is that the attack on January 6th was outrageous, criminal, deadly. It could have been far worse. I knew that as well. So I don't think there's any dispute about that. The question is whether impeachment, which is designed clearly to remove someone from office, is the appropriate thing to do when someone's no longer in office. And my answer to that is no. I don't think there's any debate about what happened on January 6th being horrible, horrifying, and unacceptable.
Mm-hmm. So, Senator, as you know, there's a new president now. It's President Biden, and he seems, as though most Democrats have a problem with the success Florida's having with keeping things open while trying to be responsible at the same time. And now, listen to this from the White House official. They're proposing a possible domestic ban. This is an excerpt from the Miami Herald. It says, there are active conversations about what could help mitigate the spread in Florida, but we have to follow the data and what's going on to work. We did this with South Africa. We did this with Brazil because we got clear guidance. And we're having conversations about anything that would mitigate the spread. There is a war, and we're battling a virus. War is messy and unpredictable. All options are on the table. So there could be some travel restrictions as it goes to Florida. Do you sense some politics at play here?
I hope not. Maybe, but I hope not. But here's what I do know, and that is that the day after Donald Trump issued a travel ban on China, Joe Biden said that this is no time for his xenophobia and that sort of thing. And then a month later, he actually tweeted out that banning travel from anywhere did not work. So to now read that they're considering actual restrictions on Americans inside the country, I think is unconstitutional. I think is going to be challenged in court successfully. But I think it also gives you some insight into who we're dealing with here, hypocrites.
New York, they went crazy when they proposed that with New York. When New York was the center of the pandemic, Governor Cuomo cried foul.
Yeah, look, I think, again, there's been a double standard here the whole time, even to this day, in terms of vaccine distribution, the death rate, the hospitalization rate, the infection rate per 1,000, per 100,000.
Right.
Florida's exceeded all of these states, but you don't read or hear about that.
You don't, and I wonder why. I think we all know exactly why. Meanwhile, let's talk a little bit about, here in New York, they've been very slow to reopen the schools. It has a lot to do with the unions. Jen Psaki at the podium in the White House briefing room on Tuesday made it very clear. In the first 100 days, they're going to open the schools, but there was something new we hadn't heard before. Listen to this, Senator.
His goal that he set is to have the majority of schools, so more than 50%, open by day 100 of his presidency. And that means some teaching in classrooms. So at least one day a week. Hopefully it's more. And obviously it is as much as is safe in each school and local district.
Okay, so there she is admitting they're going to reopen the schools, but maybe only for one day a week. I think when people hear they're going to reopen the schools, that means 5 days a week. It doesn't mean one day a week, and then you got to figure out some other situation the other 4 days a week. That's crazy, isn't it?
Well, that's called moving the goalposts, right? So number one, he doesn't control the schools. So the most he can do is put pressure on school districts and states to open.
Right.
But to do that, he has to take on the teachers union, which is a core part of his support base. So he doesn't want to do it. So what they did is they said, go out and find what most school districts are already doing, a goal that's already been met, and say that's the goal, so we can claim victory and say we did what we said. They've just redefined what opening schools means. They've defined it as something that's virtually already happening so that they can claim they did it. That's all this is. It's a game, and if there were honest people covering it out there, besides you guys, of course, if there were honest people covering it, they would call it for what it is, but we're not going to see that.
Yeah.
All right, so you probably have heard what was going on with the Mavericks in Houston. Mark Cuban, for the first 13, Dallas, the first 13 games, they didn't play the national anthem. And they did play it last night at the game because the NBA made them do it. Here's some video of last night's game against Atlanta. So here's Mark Cuban. He says he was never really going to cancel it altogether. Listen.
Listening to the community, there were quite a few people that voiced their concerns, or really their fears that the national anthem and did not fully represent them, that their voices were not being heard. And so we've had a lot of conversations about whether or not we should play the anthem. We didn't cancel the national anthem. The bottom line is we had always discussed the fact that we probably would end up playing it at some point, probably when fans came back.
What are your thoughts on this issue, Senator?
Well, what about the people who believe not playing the national anthem doesn't fully represent them, which I think is the majority of the American people? Look, the overwhelming majority of people in this country are not offended by the national anthem. They're not. It's been a part of a tradition in sports in this country forever. And I would just say, look, fine, don't play the national anthem, but then don't accept American dollars either. But that's, how they make their money. So they make their money in this country. They avail themselves of the laws of this country. They certainly go to court on contractual matters. All their contracts are based on American law. They hire police officers to provide security for their facility. They avail themselves of all the benefits of America, but the national anthem is offensive somehow, the symbol of our country in terms of in song. So look, I think they were right. I'm glad they're playing it. I don't know why. This is all just stupid woke stuff. Yeah, but you know what? We never thought anyone was going to be kneeling. Now it's a story when people on the U.S. women's national team stand. So things change. So I think we're probably going to be heading that direction, judging by the trend we're living in. The Lieutenant Governor of Texas, Dan Patrick, is looking to pass a measure that makes every pro sports team play the national anthem. Hopefully, it won't come to that. We won't need that in all 50 states. But good news for you guys. I don't know if you saw the finals of the NFL called the Super Bowl. Tampa Bay prevails. Without practice, Tom Brady at 43 does this. Are you believing that this flotilla could be a new trend for for peninsulas surrounded by water like your state of Florida? Yeah, it'd be great. We'd like to have one of those parades every year in which somebody wins. Obviously, I'm very happy the Bucs won, not only because it's a Florida team, but because I got some free barbecue from my colleagues from Missouri and Kansas. Kansas City, but let me just say on top of it, on the other side, I'd like to see some of it in Southeast Florida, so maybe spread the wealth. Look, I think the Super Bowl should be in Florida at least every other year. If that game had been played anywhere else in this country, there would have been no one in the stands. No one. So I'm glad it was played in Florida. About 25,000.
Senator, your feeling when you saw it initially, when you saw Tom Brady with the Lombardi Trophy throwing it out over the open water, what were you thinking could possibly go wrong?
I thought it could have fallen into the ocean, especially I didn't think everybody involved in that transfer of trophy across two boats was in full control of their faculties. But look, I think they would have sent someone down to get it eventually, I suppose. And bottom line is, I'm glad that that was not an incompletion. Right. They would never send a senator to go get it, so it's not going to include you.
It was caught by Gronk, who we've got some video. Gronk was actually on Fox and Friends, and we saw some of his Super Bowl winning prowess just outside. Just a little while. It was when he was here with Condi Rice was in attendance, and he was talking about CBD, and he catches a look at that. But then he does his signature.
That's when he was in broadcasting for a year. Yeah. But
Johnny Damon.
Luckily, he didn't spike the trophy.
Right.
The thing is, he was not open on that boat, so I don't know what Brady was thinking. He was well covered. He threw it into traffic, but he trusted.
He's that good.
He came down with it.
Well, if I'm going to trust anyone to throw a trophy over water, it's going to be Tom Brady. I think he'll...
Kind of an underhand throw, but whatever works.
It worked. All right.
Thank you, Senator.